Hey everybody, Mackenzie here from Tuckaway Pines. Today I wanted to bring you down to the preservation station and show you a little tip and trick on one, how to stock up on a little pantry staple that I'm sure everybody loves and has in their pantry, and two, how to save money on that staple by not having to go to the store as often. So, and plus on the little bonus side, it's going to be a much better product than you can get at the store. So I hope you guys enjoy and stay tuned. Okay, so today's pantry staple that I'm going to show you how to make is onion powder, straight from a regular old onion. It's very simple, very easy, and I can probably guarantee that every single one of you has a little bottle of it in your little spice cabinet somewhere. I know I do, and actually I'm running really low on it, so that's what kind of inspired this video, is to kind of show you what I do in order to make it. Like I said before, it is so much cheaper, for at least for me where I shop, because these are store-bought onions. It's so much cheaper for me to buy a bag of onions and make my own powder. I mean, granted, it does take some time, but even so, so much more powder, such a better flavor as well, better product all around, and for the fraction of the price. So I figured I'd just kind of bring you guys along to show you what I do in order to make it. It's really easy, pretty straightforward. So first things first is to kind of go over like what you need. Nothing super crazy or high tech, but some people might not have some of the equipment needed. For example, a dehydrator. I have a dehydrator. I have a couple of them actually, but I have one that I like to use to, quickly dehydrate a lot of my vegetables and fruits and herbs and whatnot. But if you don't have one, that's okay. You don't have to go out and buy one. You can easily use your oven. If you have an oven, just set it on the lowest setting, and you can dry your stuff that way. But we'll get more into that when we get there. So to begin, first thing I do is slice my onions, of course. But before I do that, I peel the skins off, and I actually personally, I put them in a little bowl off to the side, and I save them for vegetable broth. I actually have a few bags up in my freezer I need to kind of use. I've been stocking up for a while. I'll film that too. I'll bring you guys along and show you guys what I do to make my veggie broth. And I also can it as well, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, what you want to do is just kind of peel off that brown papery skin, maybe even that first layer of the green or white skin, if you will, because that's kind of more thicker, if you will. So that tends to not dehydrate very well. So once you get that, and honestly it might be easier to cut the ends first. I like to save the ends as well, pretty much everything of the onion, if I can. These are very juicy onions. This is a yellow onion. I'm sure you could use white, red onion powder. That'd be kind of interesting. I've never had it. Have you guys? Has anyone tried red onion powder? That'd be kind of interesting. They're very juicy, like I was saying, so they're potent. I can already feel them trying to work into my sinuses here. So I'm trying to work as fast as I can and not make as many cuts if I can't help it. Because the more cuts, it releases more of those juices and causes that reaction to make you cry. And I don't want to cry on camera. Okay, so let me do this first layer here. guys. And you'd think the glasses would block the fumes a little bit, but nope. Just want to get that first layer off just to be safe. Okay, I'll set that off to the side. Try not to rub my eyes or anything. Got a tear coming. Okay, so next step is to slice. Basically just regular old slices. Try and get them to be like the same width. That'll help. Have them all dehydrate roughly around the same time. Oh, my eyes burn, but I'm almost done. Okay. Whew. Alrighty, so, whew. Okay, so the next step is to take a break. If I'm sure everyone's gonna be crying by now, so just take a quick break. And then when you come back, you want to put your slices, you want to pop your slices out into like your individual rings here, you know, and just kind of pop them out. And if you have a dehydrator, take your dehydrator tray and start dispersing your rings around your tray. And if you don't have a dehydrator and you are using your oven, excuse me, my eyes, but then you can use a cookie sheet. And you're welcome to put parchment paper across that cookie sheet and put your onions on there and disperse them evenly. And also a little tip, what I like to do is to kind of save on space is I'll take a large ring, I'll put it on my tray here, and then I'll put a little ring inside the large ring so it can still breathe, but it kind of saves on space. So I'm going to take a break. Stop crying for a second, and then I'll start filling my trays. Okay, I've stopped crying. I've kind of let the area air out a little bit, and I am now filling my dehydrator tray with my little onion rings. I have kind of spaced them out. I've even put some of these smaller rings inside the larger rings to kind of conserve on space here. I do have plenty of trays, so space really isn't an issue, but, you know, waste not, want not, right? Oh, this one's a little big. Cut it a little more. Okay, so I have actually 4 trays of my onions. I went and dispersed them all up. I even kind of spread them out amongst the trays so they weren't so crowded. And I should have kind of mentioned this a little bit sooner, but if you are able to maybe do this in like your basement, or if it's summertime and you're able to take your dehydrator outside, maybe with an extension cord on a table or something, please do so, because this is going to make the area, if not your whole house, smell kind of like an onion. So, and for those using an oven, I don't think it should be too bad in the oven. Maybe when you open it. Otherwise, maybe try and do like a fan to kind of like disperse that smell around. Yeah, so little FYI there. But anyway, so I have everything spread out on my dehydrator trays, and I'm just going to put it right here on my dehydrator. And the model that I have has the fan that blows from the top down. So I'm going to put that on, and it has the temperature settings. So for this, sorry, metal's kind of loud. So for this, you want to dehydrate it at around like 125 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a nice low heat, so it won't necessarily cook anything. It'll just kind of slowly dry it out. Now, if you don't have a dehydrator and you are using your oven with a cookie sheet, set your oven down to the lowest temperature it can possibly go, maybe 150, 175-ish. That should be fine too. You could even go as far as leaving the door cracked just a little bit so that heat can kind of flow out. That's the whole concept, so it can just kind of have that airflow to dry it out and not necessarily cook it or bake it. So you could do it that way, and you just might have to dehydrate it for just a little less time because it's at a higher heat. For this, if you're at roughly 125-ish degrees Fahrenheit, you want it, obviously check on it periodically, see if it's all brittle and completely dried out, kind of like a potato chip essentially. But roughly around, 8, 10, maybe 12 hours, again, depending on how thick your slices are, how juicy your onion is, and again, how crammed or how crowded your trays are also can be a factor as to how fast it can dry out. And just how that heat circulates. So, but yeah, roughly around 10, 12, maybe even less hours for that. And if you have trays like this, dehydrator trays, you can feel free to rotate those trays maybe halfway through the cycle, kind of check on them. Because even some smaller pieces will dehydrate faster than larger pieces, so you might have kind of things coming in waves depending on your batch size and whatnot. So little things to consider there, but really it's super easy. Like I said, you just need some time, just to kind of let it dehydrate and work its way through. So we'll be back in about, 10 hours or so and see our progress and see where we're at. Hey everybody, we are back. It has been a few days since I've checked on the onions. I know I said roughly between like 8 or 10 or 10 to 12 hours to keep the onions on the dehydrator. I left them on for about 24 hours. So I did check them though. They are nice and dry, crispy, crunchy. And I just went to unplug them. I got kind of busy. Things got a little hectic here. So I just unplugged them so they wouldn't get too dry to where I can't do anything with them. And then they did sit for another day or so. And I checked them today before I started just to make sure they were good before the camera came on. And they are. They're good, so don't worry. So I guess, yeah, if you live in a drier climate like I do currently, it's in the middle of winter, so it's extremely dry right now. I guess I'm able to kind of get away with the extra hours sitting out like this. But if you live in a very humid climate, like say Florida or somewhere south like that, you might want to be a little more on top of it. So, yeah, here we go to make onion powder. So I'll just grab my first tray. So I got quite a few trays going, and got a bunch of nice dried onion rings essentially. And it's really easy. You can either crush them up in like a bag or use like a rolling pin and just kind of, powder them that way if you don't have anything else. If you do have like a coffee grinder perhaps or a spice grinder, that would make this go by so much faster, so much easier too. I do want to say though, if you do have that and you're going to use it, make sure you wash it before and after using it, especially if you're going to be using onions, because onions are very potent and If it is a coffee grinder per se, you don't want your onions to taste like coffee, and then you don't want your coffee to taste like onions. So just a little tip there before you get ahead of yourself. But I don't have a grinder, like a electric grinder, and I don't feel like doing the whole bag and a rolling pin thing. I don't want to run upstairs for all that. I actually have my handy dandy mortar and pestle, so I'll be using that just to crush everything up. Pretty easy, it's just a little elbow grease. So yeah, we're gonna get going. I will bring this over. And I just want to put a few of my onion rings in here. I don't want to overload it because I don't want things to come out. I want enough room that I'm able to actually crush the stuff properly. And if you're uncertain if your stuff is dry enough or not, you can just take, a piece and break it. If it just literally just falls apart, then it's nice and dry. But if it has like a slight bend to it, yeah, see? It's like chip. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, it's like a potato chip. That's how you know it's nice and dry. But if it does have a slight bend to it before it breaks or like some sort of flexibility whatsoever, you still got moisture in there and you want to probably put it back on your dehydrator tray for maybe another hour or so. That way it can be fully dry before you work with it. Because any sort of moisture will cause things to go bad, will cause mold to form, any types of bacteria growth, things we just don't want. So. Really, I can put this whole tray in because I kind of broke everything up as I was talking. Just fine. Makes it easier for me. There we go. Okay. And already this stuff smells really, really strong. It smells really good. Honestly, it smells like the sour cream and onion chips. If you like those or know what those are about, this is exactly what it smells like. Okay, everything is nice and powdered. I'll show you on the next tray just how it looks, how easy it is to really break it down and how nice and fine it is. And like I said, it smells so good. It's just like that sour cream and onion chip flavoring. Like that's the best way to put it, and that's probably what this all is just onion. No sour cream. So now that I got this all powdered up, I'm going to put it in my jar, which I have right over here. A little jar here. I just want to top it off, Can I have enough onion powder? And this stuff still smells really strong. This has probably been sitting out on my shelf for maybe over a month. I made a batch about a month ago, and still doing very well. Still very aromatic, strong, doesn't like go stale or bad. Like you would think the stuff at the store does. After sitting on the shelves for so long, it probably loses its, scent and flavor. Or maybe even in the warehouse, wherever it sits. I don't know. All I know is that stuff isn't as good as this stuff. So, throw that in. Now make sure you have your jars labeled so you know what's what. Because sometimes certain things look very similar and it's hard to tell, and maybe your smell isn't the best. Alright, so for our next tray, let's load up. And I just always kind of break things as I put it in here. That way I'm kind of testing it, like to see, is it dry enough? And then also it helps me break it down by breaking it into smaller pieces, if that makes sense. I'm not working with just whole rings. I have littler pieces to break up. So. That was super easy, right? Just to grind it all up into a nice powder. It really didn't take that long, probably about a minute and a half at most for like half the tray worth of stuff. Super easy, and like I said, it smells so good, so strong. Wish you guys could smell it through the camera because it is good. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is just continue to be grinding up the rest of the trays here. I only have about 2 more trays, so not that much, honestly. But yeah, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this, first of all. And I really hope you guys consider, switching over from buying the store-bought stuff and start making your own. Because, one, it smells, and I'm sure it tastes so much better than the store-bought stuff. That stuff's like old and stale. You want nice and fresh and homemade, because everything at home is better. 2, it's so much cheaper. So much cheaper. Roughly, depending on where you shop and what brand you get, for a thing of onion powder, you pay, what, $2, $3, maybe $4 for a little shaker, like yay big, versus my half-pint jar is almost full, and I'm sure by the end of these 2 trays, it'll be probably close to full, and this only costed me $2 for a whole bag of onions. So if you were to take a whole bag of onions, at my store they're about $2, maybe a little less if they're on sale, so $1.50 or something, around $2, whatever. Anyway, you spend just $2, you take the time to dehydrate them and grind them up, crush them up, powder them. There you go, $2, and you have like, 4 or 5 little shakers worth of garlic for $2 versus the $10 you would get just to get this amount. So yeah, so much better, saves you so much more money, and I'm sure that the family would notice the difference and love it too. So again, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I hope you guys take it and, utilize it at home and do it yourselves, because it's so much better that way. And if so, please leave a comment, let me know how it went for you. If you guys used your grinder and stuff, how did that work out? And is it worth it? Because if it is, maybe I'll get one instead of doing this. So, yeah. And please subscribe so you don't miss out on any fun little things like this on Homestead here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great night. Bye.